go ahead and get started. So we're going to be looking at resumes today, and specifically we're going to look at Neville and Harry's resumes. Let me share my screen. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with Harry's. So we're going to be looking at them as if we were hiring for maybe a job within the Ministry of Magic. Maybe we're even looking for the next Minister of Magic. And so knowing that, we want to see some details about how they are good leaders, about how their organization skills, those sort of different things. So starting with Harry's, the format looks really good. It's really clean. He's got his contact information here at the top, which is exactly what we want. He's also got his education at the top, which is another thing we want. And then he's got bullet points for each of his different work experiences. So all those things are really, really good. So just at a glance, it looks like a pretty good resume. Going into some of the details is where we see maybe there could be some work. So on some of them, he's got plenty of details, like reorganize the Department of Magical Law Enforcement to increase effectiveness while eliminating corruption, and assembled ADORs, on and on. So those are some really good details. There's some other ones where maybe it's not quite enough. So like the fought in the Battle of the Astronomy Tower, that's maybe a little too simple. I would like to see some more details, as well as, especially taking a look at this one, it would be helpful if there was maybe more bullet points than this. There's not a hard and fast rule as to how many bullet points you can have. 2 is probably the minimum, but it can be up to 4 or 5. And so something where he's the head of a department, I would like to see more than just 2 bullet points. Moving on to Neville's, we see some of the same things, but we see maybe where it's a little bit stronger. So format looks really, really similar. There's a few differences, but overall it's the same. Got the bullet points talking about each of his experiences, starting with an action verb, that sort of thing. But he's got a lot more details. All of his have enough detail. He's got like 4 bullet points here. He's got 3 bullet points here. So he just has more detail. And that's what we want to see when we're looking at resumes, is we want to know everything that you've done in those work experiences, because that's going to increase the likelihood that you're going to get hired. So specifically where he's really involved in something as a professor or even as a student teacher, he's got plenty of details, which is going to give him a higher chance of getting hired. So overall, I think we would choose Neville for this position, even though Harry also has some good work and volunteer experience. Is there any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Mainly his contact information below his name. So I was told, like, I put my resume through VMOC and it says to put a location. Is the location necessary?
You know, it's probably a little bit less necessary now just because they're not going to be mailing you anything. I probably would have, even if it's just like Provo, Utah, or wherever you're living at right now. So on Harry's, he's got like his complete street address. Not super important, just because chances are they're not going to be mailing you anything. So I would probably include a location just as the city that you're located in right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you so much.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, if that's all, then I'll just go ahead and give you the password. So the password for this class is hire or fire. And if that's everything, then you should be good to move on to the next one.
Great, thank you.
Yep.